So, guys, I want to talk about AEW Grand Slam, and I'm very, very concerned about the show. And it quite honestly looks like it's going to be another big clusterfuck of AEW, and it's really going to make their year have a very, very bad start. And the reason why I say this is that, right now it looks like with AEW Grand Slam, it's going to be a show that was originally a pay-per-view and now it's become a television special. And they've not done a lot of advertising of that. So a lot of people are going to walk into it thinking it is a pay-per-view when it's actually a television special. So what I saw online a few days ago was it was saying that, what's going to happen is that there's going to be AEW Grand Slam in Australia, and there's going to be a tape delay, and it's going to be presented as a 2-hour show in place of Collision, and that just makes no sense for a lot of reasons, So the first thing is that, like I said, a lot of people think it's going to be a pay-per-view, and why do I say that is because they originally was going to be in a 50,000 seat Suncorp Arena, and hypothetically, if they actually were able to fill that arena, they would have honestly made that the first pay-per-view of the year. So quite honestly, I think what they should do is they should make like a really, really good pay-per-view card, and this should be the first pay-per-view of the year. So for them to just say, okay, well, we're gonna just be losers and we're not gonna really care about the show, or we're just gonna go over there and entertain the crowd, entertain the fans, treat it like a little bit above a special television type of show, is just completely bullshit. And it's going to be almost like Battle of the Belts, where with Battle of the Belts, it's kind of like a bastardized Night of Champions type of show. So it's just a waste of time, really. Just if you want to go over to Australia and you want to really do something great, make it like a pay-per-view, treat it like a serious pay-per-view, and sell it and market it as a pay-per-view. Don't do it as a television special. The next big issue is that, it's less than a month away. It's February 16th, so now it's Martin Luther King Day. So automatically it's 4 weeks away and you only have one match announced. And I'm a little worried that with AEW, that they're not going to announce a bunch of matches. They're going to do what was a bad habit of them a few years ago, where they don't build to matches, or they'll just be like, okay, we're going to announce like 4 or 5 matches at the week before the show. So that's another big issue with AEW, and that's just not good. That shows you don't care, really. And it also shows like it allows Tony to do what he does best, which is that he's not concerned at all about building stories and getting people emotionally invested in that way. And that's what people want, and that's what's actually going to actually sell the AEW pay-per-view, if they get people emotionally invested. Like if you see Bowens and Max Caster create a lot of emotions, or you see somebody who was mentored by Christopher Daniels being mad about Adam Page taking it too far, and now that person wants to fight Adam Page. Or if you see maybe a 5-on-5 match between the Death Riders and Team FTR, and you bring Hobbs and Athena in that, or you do something like the Learning Tree versus, Hobbs, and if Hobbs wins, he gets a match with Chris Jericho at Supercard of Honor for the ROH title. Or if you do something like Daniel Garcia does an open challenge and he fights that guy from Shane Taylor, and Shane Taylor's like saying, I got something, you don't look legit, I'm big and bad, and I want to prove myself, I want to put money on my family's table, I'm sick and tired of being a backstage boy, and you're tough but you are fake tough type of thing. These things really elevate. Or like I've said, what about if you had, MJF and Wardlow as a tag team just taking over the AEW tag team division, but now you're really doing that with the Hurt Syndicate, and what's going to happen, when they win the tag team title? Are they going to like motivate other teams or whatever, or what are they going to do really? So all those are really great stories, but I really don't think Tony is actually going to push for these matches to happen really. Or another great match that they can have is Kyle Fletcher and Takashita versus Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Like, honestly, that is a match for a pay-per-view. So, where are you going to put the stories? Or are you just going to announce dream matches and not really have that much of a build? So it's going to appeal, but it's not going to appeal as much, really. So I fear that's going to happen. And another big fear that I have is also what they're doing with a lot of AEW shows, that they try to have like maybe one pay-per-view level match a show. Like, honestly, Ricochet and Swerve Strickland should not be a match happening on television. It should happen at a pay-per-view. That is something that can even main event a pay-per-view because of, just the interest in their different like offensive styles. So there's a lot of like, really great pay-per-view matches being wasted on television shows. But I do understand, you're in a mix of what to do really, because obviously you gotta sell out Atlanta, Georgia and other stadiums and other places where you're having AEW television shows. So sometimes you have to kind of give in a little bit. But if you always do that, then your pay-per-views are not going to feel special, or you're going to have like a bunch of repeat matches. So that's another concern. I think also another big concern is AEW Revolution. This is one thing that I really hate about AEW, and one of their biggest weaknesses is that they do too many special shows. They do the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and then they also have a bunch of AEW pay-per-views or special shows, really. So if you have like back-to-back weeks with that, you're really, really going to drop the quality. Like I talk about over and over about what happened to them last year. They had a special show in April. I think it was Battle of the Belts. They had Supercard of Honor in Philadelphia during the WrestleMania weekend, and they also had Dynasty. So they really spread themselves way too thin with all that stuff, really. And, thankfully they had Daniel Bryan versus Will Ospreay to really save that show, and Swerve Strickland and Samoa Joe to make Swerve Strickland champion. That really saved that pay-per-view. But if you have too many special shows or special events, it really kind of ruins things. Honestly, there's two things they have to think about. They have to think about Grand Slam and make sure it's a knockout. And they also have to say, okay, if you're going to have Grand Slam, a few weeks later, 3 weeks later, it's actually going to be, like February 16th Grand Slam, March 9th, I believe. March 6th or March 9th, it's going to be AEW Revolution, and that's considered like the beginning pay-per-view of the year, really. So you have to kind of make sure they're both strong. What would happen if you take all the build and you say, no, we're not going to do it for Grand Slam, we're going to make that a special show? You get a lot of criticisms, and then you have Revolution on the back of a bunch of criticisms. Or what would happen if you have all those matches and all that build and you have a really great Grand Slam, and then you're kind of rushing to make Revolution a great show, just like they did with All In and All Out in 2023. Like, the All Out for last year was good because you had Adam Page versus Swerve, and you had him burn down Swerve's house. So that was a story that saved the whole pay-per-view. But the year before, really what they did was just made a super show for All Out because they wanted to make the fans happy after the CM Punk controversy. But they really have to understand that, with anything that they do, that people are going to interpret as a pay-per-view. Like Grand Slam, a 50,000 seat arena, now they got a 10,000 seat arena. A lot of people think that is still a pay-per-view, and that's going to be a pay-per-view caliber show. For it now to be said and reports are saying, and I saw a post saying it's going to be like a 2-hour collision a 2-hour special, just like AEW Collision, I really, really, really think that, that's going to hurt the company a lot. And if you want to treat this as a show, like, okay, we don't care because we're not selling out the Suncorp 50,000 seat arena, so we're going to not really care, make it like a special television special, take it as a financial loss, and then put everything into Los Angeles, you're screwing over the Australia crowd. And then you're going to have bad publicity, really. So when you have the Revolution show in Los Angeles, I don't think you're going to get more viewers or anything else, really. So both shows have to be great. What they should do is they should have, AEW Grand Slam be a pay-per-view, have all the stuff that they're building right now on that show, really, and then they should just work really hard to say, we're going to also use that as a point to hype up matches for Revolution and get people excited. So it's almost like, as I said, it's like having a really awesome Christmas Eve and then a really great Christmas Day. They really have to create that type of feeling. It's almost like having a really great wedding and then you have a really great... It's like having a really great bachelor party and bachelorette party, and then you have a really great wedding the night after or the day after, and then you have a really great wedding night and honeymoon. Bound chicka wow wow, type of thing, really. So that's all really what they have to do with AEW. They have to just, do that type of make both shows strong, make one continue to the other, build stories and all that other stuff. But I don't think, Tony's going to do that, and that's going to be detrimental to the company. So I'm just really worried about the future of AEW, and really that they have to stop this clusterfuck booking. They have shows that are way too close together. They may have some shows that people expect to be pay-per-view caliber, and they may just not live up to that. And then also, too, that they really, really cannot drop their pay-per-view quality because, it's a little bit harder for them because right now they have HBO Max, and that just means that they don't get that $50 pay-per-view vibe. So honestly, if you have 100,000 people, and AEW has a great reputation for great pay-per-views, they're making like $5 million or more dollars a pay-per-view. They are making a profit, really. But now, since that's gone away, really, it could lead to a situation where they become like TNA Wrestling, where they're like, okay, we don't care about our pay-per-view vibes, we're going to just drop the quality a lot. So I really think that they have to be just very careful that they don't drop their pay-per-view quality, or they don't have a mentality of, okay, well, one didn't work out the way that we want to, or it may feel like a financial loss, so we're not really going to give a shit, So they need to be like learning from their failures. They need to kind of up the ante with everything that they do. And they also need to realize that there's a lot of things and a lot of stories that they can do. Like, honestly, there should be a lead-in to Adam Cole. There should be a 5-on-5 match at All Out or Double or Nothing between the Death Riders and Team AEW. It should lead to a match between Athena and Marina Shafir for the AEW Women's title, and it should lead to a match between Powerhouse Hobbs and Chris Jericho for the AEW for the Ring of Honor Men's title and the Ring of Honor Women's title. It should lead to Anarchy in the Arena and other matches later on this year. So there's a lot of things that AEW can do. There's a lot of stories that they can tell. There's a lot of continuity and making new stars and big moments and all that other really great stuff, But it's ultimately, do they care? Do they want to actually watch videos like this where there are people giving great advice? Do they actually maybe want to give people like us jobs early? Or do they actually want to actually learn? Or do they just have a vision and ideas already in place that they want to do? Like a potential Death Riders is not working out, but no matter what, we're not dropping the title until Darby comes back for All In. Or, okay, we had an idea that the AEW Grand Slam show is going to sell out 50,000 people in Australia. It's not happening, so we're just not going to care and treat it like a television special and counter losses, really, So, it's definitely a very concerning future of AEW, and I hope that they get their shit together and treat both shows like a big deal and really knock people's socks off and really start their year strong and understand that they're in survival mode right now, and the worst thing they can do is show the fans that they stop caring about their pay-per-views, or just take on way too many pay-per-views and special events and Ring of Honor pay-per-views as well, and create a big clusterfuck and repeat a pattern of doing too much and dropping the quality because there's too much to focus on.